Hello, everyone. This is Ian. I'm a comrade of Safear's who helps put this podcast together. In this episode, we are doing our second part of our Islam in Prison series, and in it, we will be interviewing incarcerated and formerly incarcerated individuals from the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections about how they came into the Islamic faith, what it's done for their worldview, for their spiritual strength, and going through the trials and tribulations of life as an incarcerated person, and what sort of realities they have to face in organizing and practicing their faith inside the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. Hope you enjoy.
Hello, this is a free call from an incarcerated individual at SCI Fayette. This call is not private. It will be recorded and may be monitored.
Hello?
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's up? كيف حالك؟
طيب الحمد لله وأنت؟
أنا بخير الحمد لله على كل حال. What's going on, bro? Just say your name for the people. What's your name, man?
Luke man.
Luke, man. Alhamdulillah. All right, so Luke, man, I know you're formerly incarcerated in the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. You know, how much time you do?
I did exactly 14 and a half.
14 years.
14 and a half. I was given 14 and a half to 29. And I came home exactly on my 14th and a half year. My first shot up for parole.
Mm-hmm. So when you were in prison, you took your shahada, right? You became Muslim.
I actually took my shahada back in 2002. 2001. The end of 01 going into 2002. And I was down the creek.
Okay.
And from the creek, I went upstate. Yeah, I was down the creek. The house. I was down there, went upstate for 3 years altogether, and then I went home in 04.
Okay. So when you went home that time, right? Did you go home like trying to implement Islam in your life, or like, you know, what was the situation going on?
No, I was Muslim, but when I went home at that time, I wasn't. Islam wasn't like a part of my life at that time. I was still young. You know what I'm saying? I was still young. I was still trying to get a crack back at the streets. I was like 23. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I felt like I was still young enough to take one more shot at the streets. And that's what I did. So like Islam really wasn't a part of my day-to-day life.
Yeah. But then when you came back, you did that 14. You know what I mean? What was that like? How'd that affect your faith?
When I came back in 04, I was still in the same time. I was still 23. So I was still going, knucklehead young boy time. So came to jail, still on the same stuff, fighting, stabbing. You feel what I'm saying? Islam still wasn't like a part of my day-to-day life. A lot of times we be Muslim, but we don't act like it down there. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
A lot of people be young, fighting a gang of time, frustrated. And they doing the same thing. They doing the same thing from the street that they did in jail.
So what changed for you?
What changed for me is once I got older, it seemed like I was down Smithfield actually. I was down Smithfield, and it just like the desire started. That's when the desire first came to me down Smithfield. I started going to the classes and all that.
Getting tired of living how you were living before, getting older, like surrounded by the right people. I mean, like.
So the crazy part, I really can't say. It wasn't like nobody influenced me. I don't know, man. It just came on that I just started going to the classes down there. I knew a couple brothers that were, that was Muslim and they were teaching the classes down there that I knew from the street. You feel what I'm saying?
Okay.
And of course, we always used to kick it and all that though, but I still wasn't like on that time yet. And then so happened, I just started going to the classes, and from there, it's just like, it just took off. That was like around 2008.
So the classes you were attending, prisoners were actually teaching those classes.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your experience like? Like what's a Muslim community like inside of prison? Did that have any impact on you?
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. When I left Smithfield, I was in the hole. At Smithfield. I was getting transferred to Dallas. And while I was in the hole at Smithfield is when I first heard about the book, Salatul Sul. I was in the yard with this brother, and he was a Muslim, but we talked Islam in the yard, whatever. And I said, "Damn, man, I get to my next jail, I'm gonna try to find that book, Salatul Sul." And it was crazy because when I get to Dallas, they actually doing a class on that book. They was actually doing a class on that book, so I could always attend that class. And I just made a conscious decision, like this is what I'm on. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I was older, and I was like, man, this is what I'm on, and that's what I just stayed on that.
In prison, right? I hear you talking about the classes, going to the classes. The Muslim prisoners teaching that, how important that is. But do Muslims congregate or help each other outside of the classes in prison?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, of course, you got walkies. Okay. You feel what I'm saying? And what you want, most times your walkie is on, and y'all feed off each other.
What's a walkie?
But somebody that like you always with most of the time. I mean, somebody you might walk the child with, walk the yard with. You feel what I'm saying? Somebody you always with. You feel what I'm saying? That's what a walkie is.
All right, so let me ask you this. So you were bouncing around, right? You was at Smithfield, got transferred to Dallas, and then you get transferred, to Fayette, right?
Fayette, nah.
Fayette, nah.
Fayette,
What's different about Fayette, man? Give me the vibe at Fayette when you made it there.
Fayette was a good joint. Fayette was a joint similar to Dallas. It was just like Dallas. As far as the brotherhood, far as a lot of brothers striving. You feel what I'm saying? Dallas was the same way as Fayette. To me, it was the same exact way. You feel what I'm saying? You had brothers actually, try and get to it, try and learn, try and study, brothers memorizing.
What were they memorizing?
They was memorizing Waji Back, Salatul Sul.
So these are actual texts. These are actual texts.
Right, these actual texts, and they also going over the explanation of the books too. Alhamdulillah, the brothers was efficient enough to memorize the book themselves, get a good understanding of the book, and they was teaching the books.
Okay. So let me just break away a little bit, right? So when you were, Muslim in prison, how did the prison staff treat Muslims?
Well, I'm gonna say Dallas. They respected the Muslim down Dallas, right? It was like we got the respect down there. You feel what I'm saying? I guess that's an old jail, and a lot of the older brothers are still there from 10, 20 years ago. And the guards respect them more so of the young guys. They respect the older guys that got the time in. You feel what I'm saying? So down Dallas, the Muslims getting, a lot of respect from from the guards.
What about Fayette?
Fayette. My experience with the guards of Fayette. No, I can't see like there was like the respect wasn't there.
There?
Yeah, it was like 9 days
You have
between
1
that
minute
jail.
left.
It was 9 days between that jail and Dallas. I also was down with Chester too, though. Chester was a whole nother ball game. Down there, the guards would greet you. That blew my mind. The guards would greet you down there.
Like give you the salams?
Give you the salams out, yeah. And they not hiding from me. Like, yo, like, yeah, like, we get a greetings down here. I'm like, dang.
Okay. Do you think there are any difficulties that come from being Muslim in prison?
Any difficulties being Muslim? Nah, not difficulties. No, I won't say I won't say it was difficult. I won't say me when I was in prison trying to practice Islam. I won't say it was difficult.
What about coming home?
The good thing about prison, right, for Islam is the time. Right, you got the time to sit there and study. I'm talking about you can study all day. It was times I would study most of the day and they get on the phone. And I call my peoples the next day. They be wondering, like, why you, like, they don't open in a hole or nothing. But I'd have been studying and helping the young brothers out. And that was another thing about, you know, people seeing my progress and put me in different positions to help the community prosper. You feel what I'm saying? And now I got time in, and now my whole demeanor changed. And, you know, Islam, it definitely humbled me and took the aggression out. You feel what I'm saying? So now I'm in a position to help other little young boys and, you know, people my age and all that. So most times I go all day engulfed in the deen. You feel what I'm saying? So that was the only thing I miss about prison is that time. Because now I'm out here, I don't have that same time. I can't. It's impossible to have that same time. I work. I got 2 jobs. Got a son. So, and prison it saved me. It gave me enough knowledge to come out here to do what I'm doing now. So in jail,
right?
Yeah.
So when you did go out there, right? Now, you know, full disclosure, we were locked up together. We did time together, right? We memorized our alphabet together. One of the texts you mentioned. We were walkies at one point. All right. So I know a lot of people, just like you, a lot of brothers that were in prison and went home, and you know, they didn't always have the longevity like you've been having. You know what I mean? Better blow fecal. So, why do you think it is that, you know, a lot of times when brothers leave prison, or some brothers leave prison, that, you know, they don't stick with their Islam?
It's definitely...
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution. Fayette. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
No doubt is the temptation is at an all-time high out here, and different things, whether it's women, whether it's money, whether it's drugs. Like it's easy to obtain while you out here now. You feel what I'm saying? It's easy to maneuver out here. Like when you in jail, it's kind of hard to maneuver for real. So everything is so much of a close quarter. But when you out here, now it opened up for you. It opened up for you. So like now, whatever you desire, and I ain't gonna say all people probably desired before they left to get into whatever they got in. I can't say that because Allahu A'lam. You feel what I'm saying? But some people do and already desire to get into different things before they even come out here. And only they know and the law knows. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I know people like that. Like I be like, damn, bro, like my man got a book. I go visit him in the county. I'm like, how you what made you get on that? He's like, man, I just had it. Like the thought was already there. You feel what I'm saying? The dope be already there sometimes, and like I said, the temptations is at an all-time high out here, man. So I can see how people fall victim to
Save 1 minute via Algon Avenue.
getting into what they're getting into, and then just getting caught up and getting locked back up. I don't really desire nothing out here for real. Like I already, like my whole thing when I was locked up, I just want to come out here and practice Islam and go to the masjids. Like that was my whole thing. Like I wanted to just come out here and be around the brothers and go to different masjids and seek knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like I almost got caught up, but I had the strength to get up out of there.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying? I had the strength, like, man, I'm cool.
I got one more question for you, right? This is more personal, right? So I had mentioned, that you came up Fayette, and I came up Fayette like around the same time as you, right?
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, we met on
intake block. Yeah, the intake block.
Yeah, the intake block. All right.
Sure.
So, man, what you think about when you first met me, man? Tell me my story. What was my impression on you?
Yeah, matter of fact, we was on the intake block, and I ain't know nobody on the block. I just came to the jail too. I ain't know a soul on that block. I knew people in the jail, but I ain't know people on that block. And I came there at nighttime, so I ain't really see nobody. So the next day I came out, scoping the scene out, looking around, looking for the Muslims. Like I said, I came from Dallas, so I'm already in geared about practicing Islam and being with the Muslims. So when I got on that block, I seen you with a book that I was familiar with, the green and white book, the grammar book. I think I seen you with that book. And when I seen you with that book, I don't think you had no kufi or nothing. No, I ain't sure. But I seen the book. And once I seen the book, I'm like, okay, Muslim. And, I gave my greetings, and we started talking. And where you from? Or we talking about stuff. I forget what we talking about, though. But that's how we first met. And from that day, we've been tight age since.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We've been tight age. I definitely benefited a lot from you. Even though I'm older than you. You dig what I'm saying? But I still benefited a lot from you. You dig what I'm saying? And, you's a good dude, man. Solid, genuine. You was trying to help the community to the best of your abilities. Yeah, man.
I appreciate that, man. I definitely appreciate that. I was just thinking, though, right, when you seen me, right, and you were like, you seen the books, you're like, all right, you Muslim, right? And I'm thinking, like, a lot of times in here, well, let me ask it to you this way, okay? What do you think the majority of Muslims, what race are they in prison?
In prison, they are majority black. You feel what I'm saying? Right. But us being Muslim, we don't go off what your nationality is. As far as Muslims come in all different races. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't judge off your race. You feel what I'm saying? I don't judge. And people probably, when I got there, they probably see me walking with you in the yard most like, man. My young boy probably like, damn, why are you walking with him? Whole time, they don't even know you Muslim. You dig what I'm saying? And I'm benefiting. But it probably didn't take them to months or maybe a years later to find out like, damn, boy, yeah,
you have 1 minute left.
You feel what I'm saying? It probably took them a little time to figure it out, but I already knew though. We was taking it every day. You feel what I'm saying?
Why do you think that it's mostly black folks that's Muslim in prison?
I mean, it's mostly black people in jail. Think about it. Majority of people in jail is like black.
Why?
That's a good question, man. But I know we do get treated a lot different in the courtroom than other people, though. This is a fact. That ain't me just saying that. That's just a fact. You feel what I'm saying? Those are facts, and I don't know. There's nothing that we could do to change that. That's just how the system is. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we can change it. We gotta see.
Yeah, sure, love.
Yeah, my name is Unique Kennedy. Everybody call me Black. I'm from the uptown side of Philadelphia. And I was born and raised there before I moved out to West Philly. And, from there I came to prison.
All right. Thank you. Actually, yeah, so you're a part of our reading group as well then, right?
Yeah.
What was your relationship to religion before you converted to Islam?
I mean, before I converted to Islam, everything that I thought I knew about religion came from, seeing my grandparents and how they treated their religion when they were actually Christians, because that's how, my family is. They're oriented through the Christian religion. And I didn't really know much about the different types of Christians or anything like that. So that was really all I knew about religion was through them, seeing them go to church, seeing them have Bible studies. And other than that, that was like my only foundation as it relates to like a religious aspect in life.
Gotcha. And did Christianity resonate with you back then?
Not at all. I didn't, they used to take me to church and everything like that because I was a kid, but none of that stuff sat well with me as far as, looking at Jesus as a God as opposed to the prophet that he was. So I couldn't really, get with it. I didn't think that a man should be worshipped.
And so then when did you first become aware of Islam, and how did that resonate with you versus Christianity?
Well, it started for me when, going to school, meeting kids in the neighborhood, you see different type of people and the different type of things that they do. So I actually had a family that lived on the same block as me, and I would walk to school with them sometimes, and I stopped at his house a couple of times, and that's how I found out what a Muslim was or who a Muslim was through him and his family. I would see them dressed in different types of garb, and at times during the day they would just leave and go pray, and that had me curious as to what they were going to go do or why they was going to go do it, and I wanted to know what it was that they believed in. And so from there, I used to stop at his house time to time, and every now and again they would drop some jewels on me about.
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Fayette. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
About what the correct methodology was in believing in God, and not to actually believe in or worship a person, but worship the person or worship the one that actually created that person. And that made more sense to me.
And so then when did you actually then decide to convert to Islam?
I was 12 years old when I actually converted to Islam, and I took my shahada through the same family that I speak of. And even then, I didn't really know much, and I didn't really know about how to go about that belief and how to pray and things like that. But I just knew enough to know that that's what I believed in, so that's what I stuck to.
Then on your transition into prison, how did Islam strengthen your spiritual integrity for the sorts of things that you would go through when going to prison?
Coming to prison was actually where I got deeper into Islam, because this was the first time I actually experienced being a part of a community of Muslims. Even on the street, I only had that one family that was Muslim. I didn't know anybody else that was Muslim. I wasn't aware of the different masjids, the mosques in the city. I didn't know about, the different festivals and things that was going on, like Ramadan and stuff like that, until I came to prison. And that's when I became a part of the community, and I started being known and recognized as a Muslim.
What is the Muslim community at SCI Fayette like?
I mean, I haven't been to no other prison and seen, how their community is, but here, before this COVID stuff happened, this community was the best of the best. And so I became a part of that, and I started to see people teaching classes and people giving sermons on Friday, and I started to see how the community was and how the brothers stuck together, and they actually communicated and provided with each other. And that's how I became a part of the community.
What sort of resources are available to you for practicing your faith on the inside, and what sort of obstacles are there to practicing it?
Well, in the beginning, the resources mainly came from other prisoners. When I first came into the prison and people found out that I was Muslim, they started to give me the game of what was going on in the jails and giving me food and giving me things that I needed to jumpstart my bid in prison. But then as time started to go by and I started to mingle with different people that was like deeply involved in the community, like the people that was teaching classes and giving sermons, I started to see how the prison was treating them and how they was actually fighting for those rights that we had that a lot of us actually take for granted. Like to be able to order books from different bookstores and to be able to go to these gatherings and sit and have classes on blocks and stuff like that. That wasn't actually the jail providing that for us. That was the prisoners that was here. They was fighting to get that stuff done. And even then, after we was getting the stuff done, they still had to fight to keep that stuff because the prison always threatened to, remove those type of resources from us.
And then do you think you feel like a certain connection between the persecution and difficulties that Muslims at prison at Fayette have faced and then the general persecution of Muslims in America and then the sort of persecution Muslim countries face, from countries like the United States, with this so-called war on terror?
Yeah, I believe that I'm connected to that because, even when you look around and you see Muslims or you have features that identify Muslim, and I'm one of the persons that have a prostration mark. So when people see that, they automatically get timid or they link me in with, the stereotypical Muslim that's a terrorist or that's, all about going to war and fighting and doing radical things like that. So people don't judge me based upon anything that I know or any belief that I'm upon. They judge me based upon the stereotype that I look like a Muslim because I have a nice sized beard and a prostration mark. So that in itself gives that type of oppressive vibe where they think that that's what I'm about.
And then as well, do you, kind of continuing on that connection, is there a lot of interaction between the Muslim community at Fayette and then Muslim community on the outside in Pennsylvania as it comes to prison advocacy?
In that aspect, we have a small connection with, a few of the students of knowledge or the few imams at other masjids in the city that we can call and get answers if we need some further understanding on something. But as far as helping us get anywhere in a prison or anything like that, it's like we don't have no connection with anybody to help us. Like if some rights was abused or the prison took something from us, we don't have no connection with somebody to help us. That's just all us trying to figure out within each other how we can, get what we need to get done.
What would you say the reason for that is?
I can't really say what the reason is, but from what I see, the prison is not really supportive when it comes to religious rights in prison. They do whatever it is that's obligated upon them to do, but other than that, they try to take away as many things as they can that wouldn't go to the point of abusing our rights. And even then, sometimes it even get there. Like after Ramadan, we're supposed to have a feast. The day after Ramadan, or between the last 3 days of Ramadan, we're supposed to have a feast. And instead of them giving it to us on time, they'll make us wait, and then they'll make us pay all this money to get a small meal. And even then, they don't even want us to have that. So it's like it's kind of hard trying to stick together and fight for these type of things. We really don't have no support. And then when you do have people here, like some of the prisoners that are Muslim, that actually are willing to put in the paperwork and put up a fight to get these things, when they see that, they label us, down security and things like that. They label us as leaders and get us shipped out to prison. So now a lot of the people that was in position that had some say-so in the beginning, most of them are gone now because the prison shipped them out for whatever reason. So it's like, it's kind of scarce at the moment, but we're trying to hold on to whatever we can. And we don't even have a man at the moment, so we can't really do anything.
This is a call.
We were allowed to have some of the prisoners as chapel workers that would, go to the chapel and provide the brothers in the jail with paperwork on how to fast or whatever that needed to be done. And, they took that from us, so we don't even have that. So now it's like anything that's related to Islam, they make all the decisions for us, and we don't get any say-so.
How has the teachings of Islam facilitated your political views and your political consciousness?
Well, I haven't been in prison that long. Well, it's kind of sort of long. I've been in prison since 2013, and since then I've learned a lot and I've seen a lot. I've seen the prison take things away, and I've seen them give us a little bit just to shut us up, and then I've seen them take more stuff away. So it's like, once I became a part of the Islamic community here at Fayette, then I was able to gain the understanding of how they were fighting back against the prison, how they was, filing paperwork against the prison and trying to get those small rights that we. So when I saw the few people, the few Muslims that are prisoners in the jail, when I saw how they stuck together and, they had some type of say-so or they had some type of influence, and I seen them actually fighting for the rights of the Muslims, that showed me, the different oppression that, the different oppression that came from the prison and the other chaplain workers and things like that. So I was able to understand how the Muslims were being oppressed, and not just how the Muslims were being oppressed, but how oppression in totality was being done to all the inmates in the prison. And because of that is when I started to read about, the abolitionist part of getting rid of the prisons and things like that through that actual religious oppression.
What is the sort of relationship between Muslims and non-Muslim prisoners at Fayette?
Well, in the beginning, some years ago, like 2015 or something like that, we had a lot of Muslims in the jail. I want to say like between 300 and 400 Muslims in the jail. And out of that 300 and 400, we probably had about 50 of them that were like the heads of the community that was in position where they was, educating the brothers and reaching out to other people that wasn't Muslim and trying to protect each other from, the gang violence and the drugs and things like that was going on in the jail. So our dealings with the other people that are non-Muslim are just trying to call them to Islam and teach them about the correct Islam. And outside of that, when it comes to like gangs and drugs and stuff like that, then we leave that off because that's not what we're on. But other than that, there's no problems between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. We're all together. And we all understand that we have the same pain, the same mutual pain by being in prison. So we try to stick together as much as we can. But if you're somebody that's, openly fighting against the Muslims or openly dealing in drugs and things like that we know about, then, we leave that off.
All right, so I had two more questions for you from yesterday. And so the first one is just, what do you and other Muslims in prison right now envision for themselves once they return to the street? Like, do you see yourself getting involved in the Muslim community back home, and to what extent would you want to do that? Just being a part of it, or becoming some a spiritual leader and things like that. And yeah, that was my first question.
Okay, so knowing what I know now, and then after everything that I've been through within the prison system, I'm definitely going to be cautious as to who I take knowledge from as it relates to religious matters and beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of the first things that I will evaluate to see which community that I will be a part of. There's a lot of different communities as upon a lot of different methodologies in the way that they practice their religion. So that's definitely a main factor. But I would like to be a part of, a community that's in my probably in the Pittsburgh area, because since I've been up here, we've been dealing a lot with one of the students of knowledge, and I'm more apt to the way that he teach, and I'm more receptive to his methodology and how he teaches classes. So that's what I would like to do. As far as anything further than that, I'll be up and down about if I want to be teaching a class, or
This
I
is a
know
call
I
from
want to study my
Pennsylvania
religion
State
further.
Correctional Institution, Fayette. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
I definitely want to study more, but I want trying to figure out how, like, if I can go overseas and take a course or something for like 2 years and something like that, if that's available to me.
Okay. And could you actually rap to me for a bit about what your specific sort of methodology or views with Islam are?
One more time?
Could you talk to me about like what your specific views and methodology is with Islam that you've become sort of accustomed to?
Yeah, well, here I've been accustomed to following the teachings of the Prophet to a T. Not innovating into the religion and adding something because I think that it should be added or I think that it's something that's beneficial, but sticking to the teachings of the Prophet and how they are understood by the scholars and those people that are in possession of the knowledge. And, understanding the Quran the way that the scholars understood it and not having my own understanding and trying to extract rulings based upon my own accord, because that's not my methodology. And, there are some sectors of Islam that do that. So I just try to stick to that, staying away from those innovative practices and sticking to the understanding of the Quran and the understanding of the teachings of the Prophet the way that the scholars understood it.
Okay, and then my final question is,
This is a call from Pennsylvania State Correctional Institution, Fayette. This call is subject to recording and monitoring.
do you see yourself like taking the Hajj to Mecca one day?
Of course, I would love to do that. That's like, even though, I know that it's an obligation upon every Muslim to do it if you are able to do so, but I don't want to do it just because it's an obligation, but I want to do it because I know that, it's something meaningful in the religion, and it's something that has changed people in the past, like spiritually. Like Malcolm X, when he went and made his pilgrimage, it changed him spiritually, it changed him religiously, and he was able to, understand that the religion was more than just what he knew from the city that he was in.
Anything that you'd want listeners to hear that maybe we haven't gone around to talking about, feel free to say that now.
I mean, I just want the people to know that it's more than just what they're hearing about in the news, and it's more than just, the oppression that they hear about. It's a lot deeper on this side of the wall than what they know. And, my main thing is you stay in contact with your people. If you got people that's in prison, keep in contact with them. Appreciate you, Ian.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of In the Mix. Next up, we'll be having our third and final part of the Islam in Prison series, where we'll be doing a deep dive with Safear on his experiences in the PADOC as a Muslim and how he came into the faith and how Islam informs his abolitionist practice.